Hey guys, Money with Yumi here, where I talk about anything and everything related to money and how to grow your wealth. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the true cost of living from my own experience living here in the US, particularly in Los Angeles, where the cost of living is one of the highest in the country. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how much it costs to live here if you're considering moving to the US or if you're just curious. And I'm also thinking of expanding this whole life in the U.S.A. as a Singaporean series. So if you have any questions about living in the U.S., let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to hit subscribe. So let's begin. The first thing I'm going to talk about is housing. Housing is going to be your largest expense. When I first moved to LA, I lived in Koreatown in a studio apartment, which cost about $1,000 a month. And this was back in 2014. But I didn't like it. It was like an older apartment, so there's no AC, there's no heater. And guess what? There's no elevator. So I moved out after 2 months to a safer area in the city of Pasadena in a 2-bedroom apartment, which cost a total of $3,200. So that's about $1,600 per person. And I lived there for 5 years. That same 2-bedroom apartment went up in price during COVID and it's now $4,400 a month. And if you're curious to know what the average rent is, let's take a look. As of September 2023, the average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in LA, California is $2,415. That sounds about right, but do keep in mind that rent prices fluctuate significantly depending on the area, so it's not unusual to see prices even higher than the average, especially in more desirable areas. Check this out. $3,218 for Marina Del Rey, $3,136 for Venice, and $3,062 for Corte. If you want to live in these areas, then you should be making at least $11,000 a month to stay below that 30% rent to income ratio. Be careful not to exceed 30% because then you'll be stretching yourself too thin. And along with renting, you'll also be responsible for paying the utilities. And this can include electricity, water, gas, internet, and maybe trash. The cost can vary depending on your usage, but a rough estimate would be about $250 to $300 a month for a 1-bedroom to 2-bedroom apartment. And do note that since the pandemic, electricity and gas have gone up in prices like the rest of the world, so your actual bill might be even higher than my estimate, so don't be surprised there. Another large expense would be transportation. The downside of living in California, particularly in Southern California, is we lack a good public transportation system. In cities like New York City, Seattle, and Chicago, you can probably survive without a car, but not in Southern California. Cars are a necessity in Southern California, a necessity. And in order to purchase a car, you'll need to budget for a down payment for the car, and that can vary widely depending on the type of car you choose and whether it's new or used. Let's take a look at the average new car price. The average new car price is about $48,000. So if you put a 10% down payment with a loan payment of 60 months or about like 5 years, you're looking at a monthly car payment of $834. With a 30% down payment, you're looking at a monthly car payment of $741. You may also choose to lease a car instead of buying. Think of it like you're renting a car for the long term. This is good for people who want to change a new car every 2 to 4 years. In 2023, the average monthly payment for leasing a car in the US is $516. And apart from your car's monthly payment, if you're taking a loan, there are also other costs to factor in as well, like maintenance, insurance, gas, parking fees, so on and so forth. I drove the BMW before I switched to my Tesla, which helped reduce my cost significantly. I think I was spending like $500 to $1,000 a month on gas alone with the BMW. And just for references, gas is about like $5 to $6 a gallon now. But back then, before the pandemic, it was like $3 to $4. And for car insurance, always get full coverage insurance. The average for a full coverage insurance is about $150 to $200 a month for an experienced driver with no accidents. And please do note that if you ever get into an accident, your rates will increase significantly. And there are also other transportation expenses like Uber and Lyft, especially when you plan to indulge in drinks. Guys, do not drink and drive, okay? Do not drink and drive. Your life is more important than that. And ride shares can get really expensive in the US. If you thought Grab was expensive, come to the US to experience Uber and Lyft prices. I think a rough estimate would be about $1 per mile or 80 cents per minute, provided there is no traffic. And I do not spend any money on rideshare services, so my cost here is $0. The next thing is healthcare. This is shit, literally. If you want to experience one of the world's worst healthcare in a developed country, come to the US. I recently had to get my blood work done, and in order to get it done, I had to go to my primary physician, who would then give me a letter to go to the blood test location to get my blood drawn, and if I want my results explained to me, I have to go back to my primary physician. It's not like in Singapore where you can do everything under one roof. And you know what sucks? Is that health insurance is a must in the US, and the cost can vary depending on the provider and the plan. And if you're one of the unfortunate ones where your company is not providing your health insurance for you, then you are fucked. I'm just kidding. Then you're most likely going to be paying about $400 to $600 a month for health insurance. Next would be your cell phone service provider. When I first moved to the US, I think I was paying about $70 a month because that was an individual plan. So me and my college friends decided to do a family plan together. So that would bring all of our costs down to about $50 per month per person, which is still roughly the cost I'm paying now per month as well. The next is food. Food is another large expense because food in the US is crazy expensive. Back in Singapore, a plate of chicken rice costs maybe $3 US, but here it costs $15 US before tips and tax, so that's going to be like $20 after. And if you convert that to Singapore dollars, that's about 27 Singapore dollars for a plate of chicken rice. And even for fast food places like Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, and Popeyes, I usually spend about $15 to $20 per meal. So it's not just Singapore being affected by the inflation. Things have gotten more expensive in the US as well, especially post-pandemic. And there's this Korean soup that I absolutely love. It used to cost $9 in 2014 and now it's $20. More than double in just 10 years. That's crazy. And I would say on the weekday I spend on average about $20 to $30 a day on food, and on the weekends it's about $50 to $100 a day on food. And for groceries, I usually spend $100 at the grocery store, but that's for about 3 days worth of food or 6 meals. So if you multiply that, that's about $400 a month on groceries. So that means that my bare minimum a month for food is about $1,000, and I have not included any fine dining costs to it yet because that's going to bump up my cost by a lot. And if you're curious about fine dining costs, the most expensive meal I've ever had in my life was at a Michelin restaurant in Beverly Hills that cost $1,200 US per person after tips and tax, whereas my most expensive meal in Singapore was 750 Singapore dollars or about 560 US dollars. Next up is paid memberships. Many people have Amazon Prime, but I don't really shop on Amazon, so I don't feel there's a need to get Amazon Prime, especially since they offer free shipping on anything above $35 anyway. So what I'll do is I'll wait until my cart has more than $35 before I purchase anything. And for gym memberships, they can get really expensive. I used to live above an Equinox gym, which is one of the most exclusive top tier gym in the US, which costs about $210 a month, while a 24-hour fitness, which is one of the most popular fitness chain in the US, costs about $20 a month. I don't have any gym membership either. I just work out at home. It's free. The only membership I feel is worth paying for is the AMC membership, where you can get to watch up to 3 movies a week at any AMC for only $25 a month. The membership is not tied to any location, so it's worth it. So I can even go to the AMC in Vegas to watch a movie, which I have done, by the way. And if you have a large family, you can consider getting a Costco membership because that's going to help you save money in the long run. The last thing to know is taxes. California has one of the highest sales tax rate in the country at a minimum of 7.25%, but the true sales tax rate in LA is more like 9 to 10%. So whatever prices you see in stores or in restaurants, remember to add at least 9% to that price to know the true cost, especially if you're comparing between whether it's cheaper to purchase something here or purchase it somewhere else. And if you're working in the US, please do factor in paying federal taxes and state taxes if there's any, because that will significantly impact your overall cost of living. And in my breakdown of costs, I didn't include a few expenses that many people have in their budgets: shopping and entertainment. These expenses vary widely from person to person, but they're often where we can have a little bit more flexibility to control spending. So the lesser you spend on shopping and entertainment, the more money you'll be able to save and invest. And back to when I was still renting, if we add everything up, like rent, $1,600, utilities, $250, car fully paid off, so $0, gas, $500, car insurance, $150, Uber and Lyft, $0, health insurance, $425, Food, $600. Groceries, $400. Cell phone, $50. AMC membership, $25. My costs add up to a total of, drumroll, a whopping total of $4,000 as my bare minimum. And I would say that my cost of living now is slightly higher because I do own a place here, so I will have to pay for my monthly mortgage. Ultimately, the cost of living and lifestyle choices can vary widely depending on your individual circumstances and priorities. Whether you're living in LA, Singapore, or anywhere else in the world, managing your expenses wisely and budgeting for discretionary spending is essential to achieving your financial goals while enjoying the best that each city has to offer. That's all I have for now. If you like this content, please smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell icon so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And feel free to follow me on my Instagram. If you want me to make more videos talking about my life in the US, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again next time.